so down here is the Fine tab. See Fine, Course. I think you guys are starting on Course. Is that correct? What are you on? Fine? Medium? You're on Course? Okay. So what you need to do in order to change your layers so you can actually see the layers show up here is you need to first go into the Manage tab, slide over to the Object Styles button. You select that Object Styles button, and then these are all the object styles that you can change and adjust. Slide down in this list, come all the way down to the bottom because we're looking to deal with the walls. And then here in this column for cut, highlight what would be the number 5 and turn that into a number 1. Okay? And then you can go ahead and hit apply. You can hit OK. Now, if you are set on the medium display, you should see some layers appear. Okay? If you take this and make it fine down here at the bottom of your screen, you'll definitely see layers appear. And you can see that you've got the sheathing layer, here's your siding layer, and then this is your stud layer or your insulation cavity layer. Okay? Here's what we're going to do. What I want you guys to do after this is we're going to take a look at our walls, because remember I told you the walls that you drew are going to be 20 feet tall. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my View tab at the top. I'm going to select 3D View. And what I want to do is I want to select my default 3D view here. Once I select my default 3D view, you can see that my walls are huge. They've got a big towering effect to them. I'm going to come down here because in my 3D view, I want to change my visual style so that it's shaded. I want to be able to have some contrast to my walls so that my walls are not in the hidden line view, that they're in actually a shaded view. What we're going to have to do next is we're going to have to go ahead and we're going to have to set up some levels. To set up levels, what I want to do is I want to go to one of my elevation views. So east is at the top, so I'm just going to click on east and go to my east elevation view. And now you can see that I have two levels. Level 1, which is 0, 0, which will always be the top of my first floor, or I should say my finished first floor. And then I have my level 2, which is 10 feet above level 1. Now, if we were going to look at the little house, the start of arc little house, how tall should our first floor walls be? So we need to change that 10 to be a 9-foot high level for level 2, and then we are going to assign the top of the first floor walls to be stopping at level 2. So I'm going to go back here to Revit, and I'm going to go ahead and change this level by double-clicking on the 10-foot. And it turns blue, so I can change it. I'm going to select 10 feet. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to make them 9 feet, and the entire level drops down. All right, so what we need to do now is we're going to take the height of our walls and we're going to attach the top of the height of the wall to what would become our top constraint. That's going to be level 2. To do this, you select the wall. You can do that by grabbing an edge of the wall. Then you're going to come over here where it says top constraint in your property browser. You're going to select where it says unconnected, and then you can select up to level 2. Now, you can come down and you can hit apply, or if you mouse back into the drawing, the change will occur. You can see how that wall has shrunk down to be the height of level 2. In order to do all of your walls at one time, you can do a panning window across, which then has selected all 3 of the remaining walls, and you can change them, grabbing the unconnected height, taking it to level 2. You can hit apply, or again, just mouse back into the drawing, and you can see now all of my walls start at level 1, 0, 0, and go up to level 2, 9 feet. Okay, going back to my 3D view, I can see my walls certainly look more proportional, but the thing that's missing is I do not have siding on the outside of my walls, and I should. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change my visual style here at the bottom of my screen to be realistic instead of just shaded. And now I can see that my siding is on the outside of my house, which I now know that my house has been, or my walls have been designed and built properly. The next thing that we're going to go ahead and start working on for our little house is going to be placing a floor system underneath of our walls. So we're going to start working with a hardwood floor because that's what's been called out. So we'll go ahead and we'll build a floor system, and then we're going to place that floor system underneath of our walls. So to do that, we're going to go back here to our floor plans, level 1. Double click on level 1. You can see that we have our wall structure, and then we're going to go to the architecture tab on our ribbon bar at the top. And then we're going to slide down and we're going to head across here to where it says floor. Right, so we're going to come across, we're going to select floor, come down to floor, architecture, go ahead and select that. And now you can see that there is this highlighted green tab at the top of your ribbon bar that says Modify Create Floor Boundary. We are not going to go ahead and do anything to the boundary yet. What we're going to do is we're going to slide over here to our floor generic 12-inch, and we're going to make some alterations here. So we're going to come down and we're going to hit Edit Type right away. Now we have our type properties. We're going to go ahead and we're going to duplicate, because I don't want to change generic 12-inch. I just want to duplicate it and change mine. So we're going to duplicate generic 12-inch. We'll keep that, but then we're going to hit W for width and then type in hardwood. Call out hardwood flooring. Then we're going to go ahead and hit OK. The name has now been changed. Now we're ready to alter the actual construction of the floor. So I'm going to go ahead here, I'm going to hit Edit underneath of my Structure tab, or next to my Structure tab, under the value, hit Edit. And now we're ready to go ahead and create a floor system. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to make a 1-foot thick floor system. We're going to go ahead and we'll utilize this level 2 structure by category that's 1 foot thick now. We're going to change this material. We're going to go in here and we'll select our material browser button. Let this pull up. And here we're going to go ahead and select wood. We'll type in wood to get our filter here to work. And from here I'm going to slide down and I need to find a structural piece of lumber. So for now, if I were to use softwood lumber, that would work because the lumber that I actually am looking for is a softwood. It's going to be a spruce pine fir or SPF building grade lumber. So if I for now just go ahead and select softwood lumber, that'll be fine. But the thickness that I want is not going to be 1 foot. If we're going to use a 2x12, a 2x12 in thickness is going to be 11¼ in height. So we have to do 11¼ with the inch mark. And that gives us our 11¼ thick 2x12. Next thing is I'm going to go ahead and hit the Insert tab. And it creates another structural layer on top. This is the top of the floor, bottom of the floor. The next layer that we're going to place in here is going to be the sheeting layer. So we can go ahead again, grab material, grab the browse button. And we'll go ahead in here. We need to find that plywood layer again. So I do plywood. There's my plywood sheeting. I'll go ahead and select that. And then the thickness for my plywood sheeting is going to be 3/4 of an inch in thickness. Now the last thing that we can do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a finish material. In which case we can go ahead and hit Insert. And instead of this being a function of structure, we can actually pull down the function of structure and we can call this finish. Because the only thing that this layer is going to do is it's going to make it look pretty. Structurally, the floor will stay up just fine with a plywood sheeting. that? Yep, finish one is fine. Then we'll go ahead here, we'll grab our material, and here we're going to go in and we're going to look for that hardwood flooring. So we'll go in here and type in hardwood. And I'm going to go ahead and grab this oak flooring. All right, this oak flooring is great. And then we're going to go ahead and in thickness, and a true hardwood flooring in thickness is again 3/4 of an inch. So we'll make that 3/4 of an inch as well. Once we go ahead and do this, we can go ahead and hit OK. This is all fine. We're going to go ahead and hit OK again. And now we're ready to set up the outside boundary of our hardwood floor. I can do this in two ways. I could grab my line tool and then actually draw all 4 lines. Or I could grab my rectangle tool, which I'm going to do is select my rectangle tool, and I'm going to zoom in on a corner, and I'm going to grab one of the outside corners. For now, I'll just grab the outside layer, which is siding, which actually, it should actually be the stud layer, but I'm going to use that because it's clicking to it. Pull out, drop those purple lines. I'm going to zoom out, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit escape. So the actual floor system, if you zoom into a corner, right now your floor system is running out to the same layer as the siding. What we're going to do is we're going to select one of the purple lines, and we're going to pull that in so that the actual perimeter of the floor system is stopping between the stud layer and the sheathing layer. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull these in so that it's on that layer. Okay. Just work our way around and take care of that. Okay. Well, once you do that, go ahead and hit this green check, and that's going to make a floor for you. And then you're going to go ahead and look at it in 3D, and you can see that we now have a hardwood floor underneath of our walls. And what you can also take note of is you can see how the floor system is actually slightly smaller because the floor system is, the sheathing layer actually overhangs the floor system and the siding overhangs that. After the building is framed, there's an additional piece of sheathing that's added to the outside of the floor system that then makes the entire house flush with sheeting. So if we needed to add sheeting to flush that, that's when it's not. Okay, so to look at windows and doors next, if I go back to my drawing, what I need to do is let's take a look at these windows. These 2 windows here have a number next to them, 31. That's the call-out number for the window. There's another window down here that's a number 31. What I'm going to do is go down to my window schedule, and I'm going to look to see my type mark 31 is going to be a double hung with trim, and it is a 3-foot by 3-foot window. Okay, so 36 by 36. So what I'm going to need to do, I have to go find that window in Revit, and then we'll place them, and then we'll place them using dimensions to position them. So we're going to go back in here to Revit. I'm going to come up here to my architecture tab. I'm on my level 1, by the way, so double click on your level 1 floor plan. Then I can come up to my architecture tab, and then I need to grab my window tab. So I select my window tab. It's asking me here, do I want to save my project? I'll say sure, because I forgot to save. And now I'm ready to start placing a window. But the window that they want to place is a fixed 36 by 48. So instead of placing that window, I need to come over here to where it says Load Family, select the Load Family button, and then come in here and grab my windows. So come down in the list, double click on Windows, and then I can come down here to where I have double hung with trim. Select it, open it,